Okay.
Right. Can you also record this so we have a backup?
Yeah, I will record for backup.
Yeah. I will upload it to the YouTube so you guys can watch it later. Okay, then let's start. So first we can see the design. I've designed it with Figma. So it is quite a simple design for responsive design. So let's see. So this is like a dummy design with some responsive ability. This is like the basic responsive stuff where you use Flex to do it. Like this, they stack on vertically and then you change it to stack to horizontally. So it is side by side. And then this one, you stack vertically first on the mobile and then next with Flex, you stack it horizontally. And this one is with grid. So the turning point, the fine line between where should I use flex or grid is when you see the design with two-dimensional, this is like two-dimensional, right? Three columns and two rows. Then you know that you need to use grid to do that. But for this is just one-dimensional. It is only horizontally or vertically. We can just use flex to do it, right? I assume you guys have used like display flex or display grid for this. So I will try to help you understand it a bit. And for this one, this is also using display flex because you center it vertically and horizontally in this one, like this one. So there is no difference in the mobile view and the desktop view. So I prepare some presentation on how do we approach these things. So let's see. Well, I'll split it up to two screens. Okay, let's see. In this design, you put the image on the first mobile. On the mobile, you put it on the top, and then you bring it to the right, right? On the desktop, you bring it to the right. But Flex naturally don't work that way. Uh, the item, the child element on the top will become the item on the left, like this one. So you see, this is the image on the top. If we change it to display flex with the flex direction row, it's going to be like that way. So the first item will become the left one, and the next item will follow to the right, right? This is if we are using flex direction row. So this can be changed, but we're not using the default ones. We can change it so the image is going to be to the right, like this. Now this is what we want, right? Now we use flex direction, role reverse on this. We can say it better on the code example, but I want you guys to understand it first. So we're going to use flexbox row reverse on this. So for the next one, now this is the a simple flex, I should call it, like a simple flex, because they are only using flex direction row, right? On this one, you use flex column, and then when you reach the larger viewport, you want to change it to flex direction row, so they will stack up horizontally. So let's see. When you get to the larger viewport, it will go like this, right? The top one will become the left one and as it follows. This is still using Flex. So we're basically using the same display technologies on the hero page. I like to call it hero page, and this is like the Y page. Okay, this is the next one. The third section is the uh, card section. This is like the cards. And then you have 3 by 2 columns, 3 columns and 2 rows. On the mobile side, we see it like this one. We just stack it up because if we're using mobile, we cannot do very much. Like it will be very jammed and crowded. So we stack it up vertically, and then when the screen size can fit some of it on the column, we can just use display grid, just like that. So grid works by, uh, it will go to the right first, and then if there is no space left, it will go to the down, it will go to the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like that. This is using grid template columns. So we will make 3 columns, and then the row, we don't need to set it up. So if we have some more cards, it will stack up beautifully. And for the last one, this is also using flags. This is using align item center and justify item center. So we center it vertically and horizontally. And when you get to the larger viewport, yeah, just basically nothing happens because we already center it, and on the larger screen size, it should just work. Okay, do any of you have some question first before we get into the coding? I mean, it's good to be interactive, or yeah, just ask, or you can raise your hand too.
Do you use Tailwind for everything? Because this seems like this isn't Tailwind.
No, I want you guys to understand for the basic first, because Tailwind is like after you understand the CSS, and then you can use Tailwind. It is easier that way. And I want you guys to know how to use vanilla CSS first, because I learned it uh, quite some long time, because CSS is quite big for me actually. There are a lot of properties. Fun fact, there are 520 properties in CSS, and it is really, really much. Okay, thanks for the question, Elise. Okay, let's start then. Let me close it. Right, set up some HTML. This folder has blank HTML, and then I have added some Google Fonts here. You guys have used Google Fonts, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, for the open sans. And then I have some images here. Exported it from Figma first. So uh, I've uploaded this to the GitHub, so you just can clone it and do it after this one. So in this one, we can use this emmet to bootstrap our HTML. And then let's call it responsive website demo. Okay, and then next we need to link up the CSS. Okay, let's check it. Oh yeah, I haven't live it yet. So I use the extension called live. I don't know what it's called. Live server, like this. So basically it just serves your HTML and updates it when there is some changes. So I think it's good to use, because we don't use any framework, like we don't use any React. We just use some basic HTML and CSS. So we can see that this works because there is blinding red here. Okay. So the first thing to do, I usually just write up the HTML first. So I will try to how should I place the design? Wait. Maybe like this. Oops. So we want to make the navigation bar first. So we can see that there is a div, And then this is one probably in H3 or something. We don't have a logo. You can put a logo here. And then we have an items to click on. So this is probably using a tag, right? So let's create it first. We can semantically we can add something with navigation like this. We can call it header, just like that. This works the same as a div, but basically the same name, so we can differentiate it from others without adding a class. And then we can add some class, some div, I mean, with class navbar, because this is navigation bar. So we want to make it using flags. When you want to separate it on the left and the right side, we can easily use justify space between. And the way to do that is we create a div on the left side and the div on the right side, and then just split it half and a half. So for the first one is we can create a tag with navbar logo, and then we can make it to index.html. So basically, when you click this website name, you go to the home page. So in this a tag, we want to add some h3. So we call it website name. And then for this one, we need to group it, because if we don't group this, it will be split on this one on the left, this one on the middle, and this one on the right. So we need to group it with, we can use div, but I'm going to use nav because there is some navigation. We can go to the Y section and the create now section. So I'm going to use nav HTML. And then we can have two links. We can call it navbar underscore link. And we want two of it, just like that. This one go to here. Okay, so this one is called Y. This one is called create now. Now, as we can see, there is some difference in this, right? This one is basic text and this one is accented because there is an orange to it. So I like to add some class to it to add. We should call it navbar link dash accent, just like that. And basically the markup for the header is done. So we can see it on this one. And it's quite not good. So let's style it up. Okay. So there are something that I usually add on when you start a CSS file. This is like the convention thing where you change the box sizing to border box. I mean, there is some explanation to it, but for now, just memorize it to add this on every CSS project you add. The next one is we need to link up the fonts with the Open Sans fonts to the body. One family Open Sans. And for the backup, we just add sans serif. And we should see it change right now. All right, good. Next, we want to delete the default A tag because it's kind of ugly, right? We have the purple color and then the underline. We don't want that. So the order to take out the underline, we use tag declaration and none. You can see it. Yeah, that's done. And for the color is color inherit. So inherit is when it will look up to whatever on the cascading. So if you have a parent with color blue, it will take up the color blue. So we don't need to basically hard code a color and just use the existing color. So this is already an A tag. So next is, we can see we have some class called navbar here. This is basically the div. So we can use it like this. And we add display flags here. And right, it's already split up on the horizontally. Now we can see there is a margin right here, right? There is a margin right here that is usually caused by the body type, I think. So we need to get rid of that margin padding. Now let's see. Yeah, good. There are no padding anymore. So with the navigation bar, we want to center it on the vertical, so it is the same height, I think. It's with line item center, just like that. And next, we need to split it up by justify content space between, just like that. And basically, it is done, right? Wait, where's my design? Yeah, basically, it is done for the header. We just need to style it up. Okay, let's start it up. Next one is, I want you guys to learn this one. This is quite important because when you create a website, we don't know how large the user screen size is going to be, right? For example, this is with 1444, and user have large screen size, and this will go on to 2000, and we don't want that. We want it to like cap off on about 1100 maybe. So the larger screen size will not get very big content with nothing in it. So we can add some layout to it. I usually call it by the class layout. So what we want to do is add it to this one. So why do I add it to the inner one? Because the inner one will be capped off, and then we can add whatever color we want on the header. So we don't get capped off color. Let's see that on later. For the layout is we usually use with 90%. So then I need to save this. Let's see, they are capped off on 90%, right? Because we added 90% to it. And then we want it to be centered. When you want it to be centered, we can use margin, 0 auto, 0 on the top down side, and then auto on the left and the right side, and it will center it, just like that. Next one is we want to put it on the max width, about 1100, and we want to use RAM here, right? And I have some extension to it. That work? Okay. It should be 68.75. Basically, with RAM, you just calculate it with 16.75 times 16, and that becomes 1100. And that is for the max width. So what does it do is they cap it off on right here on 1100. So if you have, let's say, 2100 of viewport, it will still cap off on 1100 right here. Yeah, right there. So we don't need to consider for the larger screen size or what design should I do on it. We just only do it on max on the 1100 viewport size. So next one is we want to add some styling, right? All right, let's see. We have already added the display flags. And then next one, we can add some color on the logo. We want it to be wait, I'll check it out. Okay, this color. Okay, good. And then we want it to be the same font size as the design. So we can see the design here, and we can check the font size on this. This is 18 on the font size. So on the RAM, it will be 1.125. Yeah, just use calculator with this because it's kind of tiring to do this. Next, we want to style up the links right here. I call it link. I think. Yeah. This has a font size of 175 rand. Yeah, I already looked up before this and just check it up on the design. So what we want to do is, this one is too crowded, right? We want to add some margin on it, but we don't want to give margin on both of it, because when we give margin to both of it, for example, margin like 0.5 rand. So the create now has margin 2, right? We want to only give it either to this one using margin right, or this one using margin left. So the way is, there is some selector called, I think it's called lobotomized hour by Hayden Pickering. So what we can do is we can use the adjacent adjacent selector.
Sorry, there is one question.
Yeah.
How did you get 1,125 frame from 80? Or is it 18 from Figma?
Yeah. The 18 is from Figma that I designed it first. So it is 18 pixel, and we want to convert it to RAM units. So we just divide it by 16, and it will get 1.125.
Okay.
My calculator shows up on the Zoom, right? This one.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is the adjacent selector. So what does it do is we can actually hover it with VS Code. So as we can see, there is two navbar link. So it will select whatever adjacent siblings. So if there is already navbar link, it will select the navbar link after it. So for example, if you have navbar link, and then when you see the one element on top of it, if it is also navbar link, it will select this one. So the first one will not get selected, and then the next one will get selected. And if you have another one, this one will get selected. So basically, it selects whatever navbar link that has navbar link before it. So with this functionality, we can add margin left to it, because it will only select the second stacking item, right? If you have some navbar link, it will only select the second one. So we can just add margin 0.51, I think. Right. Yeah, that will do it. Let's see. Look, there is only margin on this one, so there are not excessive margin on the right side. So that's basically it. And we will need to add some accent, because we added on the navbar link dash accent. So we can add it here. And color is this one. Let's see, it's changed. And we want some font weight in here, right? I use bold on this. So we can just add font weight. You can use bold in here. So that's basically it. Next, there is some box shadow, right? It's right here. What we want to do is, we can actually take this up from Figma. So let's see. And then this element, I think. You can see on the inspect tab, there is a drop shadow, box shadow already here. We just copied it to the, now let's see the layout that I talked before, where we want to add a background here. For example, is bar wrapper. So when you put like background color here, this, it will be colored, because we put the 90% in here and the max width. So what we want to do is we we put it on the navbar wrapper. Navbar wrapper. Now that should do it, right? It will go from the left to right, and it will not getting cut out. So what we need to do is just add box shadow to it. And just like that, your navigation bar is done. And we can add some fixed height on it. I usually use like either 5 rem or 4 rem. You can just add it. We will use it for later. Why do I add it on this? Why do I add fixed height on this? So this is the navigation bar basically done. And there is something we can add, which is the hover state, because when you hover this, there is no feedback. We can add some hover state in this. So we want to add it to both of them, so they all have feedback. So we just need to add navbar link. We can use hover, and then pick the color. I'm gonna pick already preset up color on this. It is like the lighter shade of our primary color. So when you hover it, it will show the lighter color. And then next one, we want to add another color when you click on it, because when you click on it, there are no feedback. See, I'm clicking on it, and you guys can see that you guys cannot see that I'm clicking on it. So what we can do is we add class pseudo class active, and we add some color to it. And let's see, it's kind of hard. Hold up. I think we want to make it a little bit darker. Now we can see that it is being clicked right now. So that's good because we give some user experience to the user, just like that. Next, we want to make the second section, right? We first add the image here and then the text right here. Wait, where's my, okay. So what we can do is first we add the markup. We can call it section. We can add some ID to it. It is the hero section, the hero ID, I mean. And then we add a class called layout, the layout the same as this. And then we add what class we want to name it. We call it hero. Next one is we add the image. It's called this one. Yeah, that's right. And then we can add the markup. For the markup, we want it to have some div. We can call it hero content because we have some content on it, right? And then it has a title right here, and then a text and a button. For the title, we can add hero title. Great. So on this website, we have some accent in here, right? So we can add some class. We can select this one and add span. Open this. We can name it hero accent, and we will just change the font size on this class later. Right, I forgot to add an H1 here, so let me H1 hero title. This one should not here, just like that, yeah. Sorry. And then we add some hero text. Let me copy it. It's not that. The last one is the button. For the button, we can use a tag called btn. The class is btn. And let it go to nowhere and we'll create now. Okay, the markup is done. Now let's see how are we going to make it. So for the, let's first make this not too large for the image. We want to add on the top side because it is, we select the normal class. We can add max width on it, 100%. So it is not too large, but it will not get too large and go to the overflow. Next, we want to add on the hero class, we want to add display flags on here. And this one is going to mess it up first because we don't want it to go horizontal at a smaller screen size, right? We want it to have flags direction or column. Yeah, it will go to the before state. Basically, it won't do anything. And the next one is for the, I think it is for the title. Wait, hold up. Yeah, for the title, we can add some font size. Let's see this font size. It is 32 pixel right here. So we can add some font size to it. Okay, and then for the accent, we want it to call, we want to select the accent one, and then we select the color, this color. This is our primary color. And just add it here. Nice, looking good. And then we want to set up some margin because this is too large for a margin, right? We can add margin button, maybe 0.5 run. Yeah, that's better. And then for the text, we want to have a line height because it is quite compact, so we can add line height to it, about 1.6 maybe, a little bit more, 1.7. All right, it will get some space in it. And next, we can create the button. For the buttons, we can go up to the top because we will use it on somewhere else again. You can call it btn, and then let's add the background color. The color is this one. Okay, good. And we can add up some padding. I usually use M to do this, and you need not M. So let's say it's gonna better, and we need a color of white. That's good. And we want it to be the font weight of bold. Right, just like that. Next, we want it to have a rounded edges like this. So the property for that is border radius. It's 0.5 run. Nice. And I want to add some border to it. I'm adding it with the same color. I'll explain to you later why I add some border. And we need to hook up the font size on 875 run. Just like that. And basically for the homepage is done. Oh, wait, we need to add something in here. Let's see, because it is to stack up on the top, right? It don't have any space on here. So let's add like some padding, maybe to run 0.
Sorry, Ron, there is one question from Alisa. Could you explain a little bit about the maximum width in the image?
Yeah. So basically, it just constrain it to not get too large because we have a flex here, so it won't work. So let me add another image. Basically, if you see the first markup, you can see this one. It will go over the viewport, and for the development purposes, we can constrain it to be max width 100%. So if you have an image that is so large, we can scroll like this, and it's not good, right? What we can do is we just add this one to make it not overflow. So the max width of the image is 100% of the viewport width, just like that for the max width. Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So this is basically done, and the only thing we need to do is to add some responsive there because it's gone up too large and it does not stack up, right? We can add media query here. So media min width. I usually start off by 768 pixel because that is the tablet size. We can just fix it later. So we can just change the flex direction to row. Wait, we need some selector here, sorry. We can flex direction row. So when it gets to 768 pixel, it will go to row, just like that. And we want it to be centered vertically, so we can add it here on atom center. Right, it's now lined up. So hold up, let me check. Okay, now as we can see that this image is kind of too large, right? So we want to, oh wait, sorry, I forgot. This one is reversed. So we want the image on the right side, right? So we will add the flex direction to row reverse. Yeah, that's basically it. And it will go to the right place. And it is kind of, let's say that it's kind of not good right here because you need a larger size for it to be just about here, I think. You can check the ruler here, and it's about 1000. Also, we can also make it divides by 50-50 by adding width to both sides, because if you add a width of 100% on both sides, they will compete on each other and just compromise on 50%. So let's see, right, hero image. We want to add width of 100%, and for the hero content, the width is 100% too. Now, you can see this, it will just like that. Okay, and then we need to fix up the hero image on the larger screen. So because it is kind of too large, we can add the max width to be 460 pixel. Should be quite smaller. Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. The next thing is we can add some margin on this one, so they have some space on this. We can add it on the image when they are larger screen size, because we don't want to put it right here, right? We don't want to add margin here. We want it to add on right here. So what can we do is we add some margin in this. No one is load. Wait, did I call it wrong? Right, I forgot to add some classings. Okay. See, we have some margin, and then it resizes the image resize, because we add this one and this one. We add width 100% to the image, and then we add width 100% to the content. So it will compete with each other, and then they just compromise, they just compromise, and let's get to 50% both. So we get to the same width. So we're not blocking off one each other. And that's basically it for the hero page. Maybe, do you guys have any question for this one first? And if not, we can continue on the next section. Okay, I think there is no question. Do you guys chat on this? Because I cannot see the chat. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Maybe I have a quick question, Ron. When do you use EM and then when do you use RAM?
Okay, that's a good question.
I was reading about that also, like, and something about like EM is like it's kind of how can I explain that? I was trying to explain it for you because I just read that today actually about the difference between EM and RAM. So
Yeah.
kind of like EM, it takes whatever it was before,
Mhm.
so and then it can go. So it, let's say we start with 1.5 EM. The next time you use EM will be like 1.5 by 1.5, so and so on and so on. So that's why it's not good to use
That's
EM.
correct. Yeah, so the EM element is going to get the parent element, but the RAM element, the RAM units, sorry, will take up the root font size, which is most of the time is 16 pixel.
16 pixels,
So
yeah.
this is font size with RAM, and then this one is with pixel. Wait, I think I've read a blog post on this, so maybe you can read it for the research. So let me just explain it based on my blog. It's kind of like it, sorry. This one. This is with RAM. So with M is when you, as we can see, this one using for the padding is using RAM. This one for the padding is using RAM. You can see it right here. Sorry. For the top is using padding 0.75 RAM, and this one is 0.75 EM. So the difference is when you scale the font size up. For example, we take this to 2 RAM. The padding on inside here will scale up to. Let's see that this one has the size of 0.75 EM right there. And when you scale up the font size, the padding will get increased proportionally. You can see this one and this one. This one is kind of tighter, right, for the padding. But we use the same value. We use 0.75 RAM here, 1.5 RAM here, and we use 0.75 M here and 1.5 M. So what M does is they check up on the font size on the cascading one. They see that there is 2 RAM here, which is about 32 pixel, right? And it will use these 32 pixel on this one. So 1M equals to 32 pixel. It is quite confusing at first because you can really calculate the value that is comes out. So the thing that we should do is by using M, we can scale up proportionately the buttons. For example, this is button, right? When this is one from 16 pixel to 32 pixel, the padding does not proportionally scale, but this one is scale up to. So the size basically the same to this. You just scale it up. But this one, the padding is kind of tighter because it doesn't scale up relatively, just like EM. So what we can do is use it on the button. For example, right here we have a button, and we can. All right, I already used the AM unit here. For example, if we increase the font size right here to be 2 rand, see the padding will be the same proportionate. It will be different if we use rand. It's like this. Look, the padding is smaller right here. If we use rand and M, the padding will not scale proportionately. So it's good to use EM units for the buttons. I mean, because buttons, you will increase it for the larger viewport. We will see it later too when we go to the uh, larger viewport. We need to make it larger. So for example, let's add for the title first, okay? For example, right here, the title use 2 rem here on the larger size. We want it to be 3 rem. And for the button, we want it to be 1.25. 1.25. So it will scale up, and so it will be larger for the desktop. We want it to be larger on the desktop. So yeah, that's basically it for the EM units. Do you have any further question? Let's add margin button here. Okay, just like that. We have finished the layout for the flex. So we see that there is some, because this is not like balanced, right? Because the H1 has some margin on the top, so we need to delete it. And we can just delete it just like this. Margin 0. Okay, just like that. There are no margin anymore. Okay. So should we continue to the next section?
I think you should decrease the padding at the bottom when it's larger.
Sorry, Mauro, I can hear.
I mean, when it's in the larger screen, the bottom has too much padding, I guess.
Oh, this one.
They create now the bottom.
Oh, yeah. We can totally resize it. I think we can resize the font size. Should be
Oh, yeah.
just 1 rand. Yeah, that's better. Thank you,
Yeah,
Mauro. So what we have not added is we want this to be have hover state, right? So let me just, I will copy this one because it's kind of too much to write. Basically, this changes the background color to the lighter one and for the active one to the darker one. So we have some hover state here. Yeah, that's basically it. We change the border color and the background too. Okay, let us continue to the next one. This one is a simple heading. Okay, let's see. Let's create a section first. We call it Y. And then we have some layout and Y page. Just like that. And then we add some title. The title for Y. And then we add a text. Okay, next one is because we only need to add flags on this element. So I'll add some div called card group. It's like that. And we can add some card. We call it card because it groups the image with the text. So we have image called Y card image. We can add some image here. Just like that. And then we can add some Y card text. We put it two times. Okay, now we only need to repeat this for the icon 2 and icon 3. Okay, nice. So let's see for the next one. Hold up a second. Okay, for the, we can call it Y section. So on this, sorry, I think I put the wrong place here. We should call it, we should put the class here because we want to select the background. Sorry, no. On the background, we wanted to have this background. It is called this color. Yeah, just like that. So we add some padding on the hero, right? We want it to be consistent. Let's change it to the 3 first. And we want to copy it on this one. So they each have the same padding all over. Just like that. Okay, cool. And then for this one, we want it to have text align center because this aligns to the center. We can just add it here. Text align center. Okay, good. And then for the title, we want it to have a proportionate margin. You can add 5.1 here. And then and for the text, we want to add some margin too. You can add 2 rand. Okay, that's nice. And then for the card group, we want it to have flags, right? Because we want to make it stack up horizontally after this, so we can add display flags. It will mess up with this for a bit, so we add flex direction column here. Yeah, this is basically it for the mobile side, I think. And we can just add some larger font weight here. While card text is only bold, just like that. And next one is, I think this one has too much padding, too much margin, I mean. So first, let's reset it. Okay, that's good. And we want to add some margin on the second and the third one. So it has some space on vertically. And with that, we can use the same with the navigation bar. We use adjacent selector. We call it margin top to run. Yeah, that's added some space on here and here. So it has some space, right? Now on the larger screen size, we want it to have left direction row. So we steal this one again. We put it here. And for the Y card group, we can add flex direction row. Let's see now. Okay, it has it did it well, but it just stack up on the left. So we need to add margin 0 auto maybe. So it will center. No. Let's see. We can add, let me try it for a bit. Justify content center. Yeah, right. We can add justify content center right here. So it will center it horizontally. Now, the problem is we add some margin top on this, right? On the second element. So when we convert it to row, it will still have the same margin on top of it. So we need to get rid of it and change it to the margin left because we want it to have space between this and this item. So we can do it just like this. So we put it right here, right? We can add it to here and convert it to margin left. And oh, we need to reset the margin top. So first reset the margin top, and then add margin left on it. So it's like that. Nice. Second section is done, and that's basically it. We can just we can also resize the font size right here to match up the Figma, but I won't do it because it will take too long. Just like that. It's basically looks the same. You can just check the font size on the larger viewport uh, and make it to the same to the font size because it is 24 pixel. You may need a larger font size for the larger viewport, just like that. So anybody has some question?
You said that you changed that the media tag that you made in the CSS file. You said that right now it's the min width is that's like the tablet size. So it's like basically its default is geared towards the phone size.
I usually start with this, and maybe you can like adjust it. For example, you see this as too large on this, or maybe you want it to stack up horizontally faster. We can adjust it to, for example, 568 like this. So it won't get too large when you change the layout.
Mhm.
But this basically your preference. Where do you want it to change up? Change this to horizontally when
Okay.
the screen size gets to it. So this one, for simplicity, I will put the same value for all, so it changes at the same width, for example, like that. This changes at the same time, right? This is
Mhm.
for the sake of simplicity. When you develop a website for your purpose, you can customize it to be whatever value you like. Yeah. So I forgot to add something here. So this one, as we can see, this does not take up the whole viewport. We usually want the hero to be full screen right onto here. So what we can add is on the hero, sorry, we're going back a little bit. We can add min height of 100 people. So yeah, that's it. The next one is we want to go back to the navigation bar first because we already have some scrolling items right here, and we want the navigation bar to be position fixed, so it will keep scrolling on top of it. So what we can do is we go back to the nav bar and we add position fix to it. So it will kind of mess up right now. And then we add top 0 and left 0. And we add right 0. So basically it just put it on the top side, left side, and the right side, so it will be full screen size. And next one is we want the navigation bar on top of it. So we add Z index here, about 2 is enough, I think. Now let's see, this is transparent, right? So they can see through the content here, and we don't want that. We want it to be white, so we add background white here, just like that. We have some, oh shit, sorry. We need to put it here, actually. We need to put it on the navbar wrapper. Sorry for that. Just like that. And then we add background white to this one. So it won't get cut off by the layout. We put it on the wrapper. So that's basically it. And we need to add some margin top on this element. We can do it with hero and this one. Because we already add a fixed height of the navbar is 5 frame, like this, we can just add a margin top of 5 frame too right here. So it will stack beautifully. So it's basically the same screen size, just like that. And what we can add is, as you can see that the white part here, it's not like the full height, right? It's not the same height because you have a margin top right here. So let's see. Because you have margin top right here, so the whole content will go down for a bit. And if you can guess, the size will go down about 5 rand. So we need to calculate the height. So it will become 100 viewport height because we want it to be the full height of the phone or the device minus 5 rand. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Let's see, where do I put the hero? All right, this one. So we can just put 5 frame here, just like that, but it won't work that way. As you can see, it cancel out the min height because CSS can do calculation straight in the CSS. We need to add something like call this calc. So basically it will calculate whatever is inside the parentheses, and it will calculate the 100 viewport height minus by 5 frame. So we can see this when we scroll a bit, it's already the other section. So we don't add some more height to it. Just like that. And that is for the hero section, navigation bar, and the Y section. Do you guys have any question for this one? Okay, I think there are no questions, and let's go to the next section. This is the top section. In this one, we will use a grid for this. So let's see. Okay, let's go to the next section. We can call it create maybe. And as the same, add layout to this. And then we need to add some H3, I think. Oh, I mean H2. We use H2 right here. Oh yeah, sure. So we need to add the H2 here. Create title, and then create this website. Next, we need to add a p tag, create text, and here are the part where you. Next one is, this is the kind of the same markup with this one, where you have a card group and the card inside it. So basically, we add some div here. We call it create card group, and we have create card inside of it, just like that. So in this card, we have some image, and then a card title, card text, and the button. So this is the same button as this one, but we want to create another variation of it, which is called the outline button. So we will just use the same button. So first we need to add the image, create card image, image. And let's add the card image. Next, we need to have a div which will store create card content. So the content has an H3, perfect, please, and the p tag, which are a pretty good place. So now I will show you another style to select select the CSS, because with this one we basically just add a whole class, add the whole element a new class, right? For example, like this white card, and then for the image we call it card image, and then for the text we call it card text. So what we can do is we just add the class to the parent div. We call it create card content, and then we can select the inside afterwards. Let me show you after this. So this one is a.btn. This is the same btn on the top side, as you can see right here. It will already have some markup right here. Maybe some content. Just like that, right? It already has some styling in it, but now we want it to be outline, right? We can call it btn outline, and we add the style later. So let's make the styling first. I will copy it later, but first let's make the CSS first. We can call it card section and create section. With this create, we should add padding 3 rem and 0. So it is consistent between all of the section. Next, for the title, we want it to have smaller margin button. Just like that. And that's good. Maybe too large. Why is it not? I think it's because the PTech, because PTech also have margin. So let's reset it first. Yeah, that's it. Because the PTech have some margin and then the H2 have some margin. So basically it will make the margin larger. So we can reset it right here and add some margin over here. Yeah, just like that. Maybe a little bit more. Like 3. Yeah, sure. Next, we need to style up the card, the create.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think you should put the margin 0 for PTech in the reset in the top or?
Yeah, sure. When you do it, when you see you're repeating something over and over, we can refactor it and put this one here too. Yeah, it's basically, it's a good practice to do that. I usually do that. And you reset H1, H2, and H3, and the PTech to have no margin at all, just like that. Yeah, thank you for calling it up. Okay, so let's create the card now. Now, let's see the button first. Okay? You see this one is overlapping, right? This is because the A tag has a default display value of inline. So what we need to do is change this to inline block. Just like that. And it will have some space on this. Just add inline block on it. So it is not the default one, which is inline. All right. Let's create the card now. For the cards, let me see for a sec. Okay. We want to add background white to it. Okay. And then we want it to have box shadow. So it has some shadow. Let me just put up some random shadow here. You can basically look up on the Figma, but I'm using a simple one. So let's see, there are already a shadow here. Next up, we want it to be rounded, right? This is rounded. So we want to make the card rounded is use border radius 0.51. Now, let's see. This is rounded, but on the image, it's not rounded. Now, this is because the image is overlapping the card because it is overflowing. So the fix is by adding overflow hidden.
So then I think Eric have some question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask, what is this box shadow doing, and how did you get these numbers?
All right. For this box shadow, I think it is quite a complex. Like you see this and you quite confused, right? But we can maybe demo it right on the Figma. So as we can see here, this is what is getting from the Figma one. We have 0, 0, 10 pixel RGBA 0, 0, 0, 0.1. So if we see the property here, we have x equals 0, y equals 0, and the blur is 10, right? So let's make another box here. We can just hold up. It's kind of like, so we want to add drop shadow here. So the x1 is how many offset do you want it to be? For example, 20. It will go 20 pixels to the right. For the y is 20 pixels to the bottom. And for the blur is how blur would you want it to be? For example, 100, it will be very blurry. Or you want it to be 20 like that. Or if you want to be 0, it will basically not blur and make a right? A square shadow. And for the coloring is, you can basically just use any color on this, just like that. So the appropriate thing to say is the first one is the x-axis, the second one is the y-axis, the third one is the blur, and then the last one is the color. This is the RGBA. RGBA is you put up the RGB value, and the A is the alpha. Alpha is the opacity of this. So when you hold it up to right here, see that there are some opacity in this. So it will like, if we make it too opaque, this will block out the before element, but we change up the opacity so it will see through. Basically, if we over exaggerated the value, it's right just like that. But it is good practice to use like small values on the box, so it still look pretty and not like jaggy or something, just like that. Okay, thank you for your question.
That was a really good explanation, man.
Thanks. Okay, let's get back to the overflow first, right? So we can see right here, sorry, on this one, I think this one is right. This still have like square edges because the image is overflowing the container. So what we need to do is edit overflow hidden, and this should fix up the issue on the card, just like that. Because you put up the border radius on the container, but the image didn't have any border radius, so you just add overflow hidden. So the other content on which is overlapping, which is overflowing, I mean, will be cut off from the layout, just like that. Maybe the Figma has its own features too. So, for example, when you make this one, and then you make another. Sorry, let's make a frame first. For example, this one is black, like this. You can add some border radius right here. So this basically does the same thing as the CSS. You put the border radius, but it don't get cut off right here because the image is overlapping right here. So what we can do is add overflow hidden, and in this type of situation, we can, I don't know, can we put content in here? Hold it. Right here. There is a feature called create content. Basically, it adds overflow hidden to here. So let's see if we turn it off. Will it resize? Okay, it won't. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why this didn't work in Figma, but in the CSS, you should, if you see the case where you already put some border radius in here, but the image didn't get cut off, just add overflow hidden in the container. Just remember it for now, because it's quite hard for me to explain. Sorry for that. So the next one is so let's continue to the markup. We want the image to have the full width because it is getting cut off. So we can select the image. We can copy the style here. We can add it to 100%. Right, so it will get the full width. And then we can select the content. create card content. We can add some padding to give some space on the inside. This is the content. Let's see how padding will work. Just like that. It will add some white space on it, so it will look better. And next, I said that I will show you guys another style on selecting CSS. So the way is we select the parent and then we select the child element. For example, is we write up the create card content first, and then we add some space and select the H3, and we can add some maybe font size, 1.25 frame, and margin bottom about 0.5 frame maybe, just like that. So what does it do is it will look up the class of create card content and it will select H3 inside of it. So it won't select the H3 outside of the create card content. It will only select the H3 inside of create card content. So I think it's safe for us to do this, and it will not like clash into other class. I usually use this quite often actually. So let us continue on the P tag.
Hey, Clarence.
Yeah.
I'm sending here a page in the chat. Have you heard about the smacks and Ben?
Okay, let's see.
Smacks and Ben. A guy was telling me that it's better to use this instead of sometimes it's kind of difficult to like working like a modular architecture with architecture.
Yeah. So there are something called, this one is BAM. This is basically just a convention to write CSS. And actually on this project, I already used BAM. This one, why I keep repeating the block element. This is called block. And then this is called the element, right? This is called BAM. Wait, let me open up the website.
Oh, cool.
It's basically just the how you name stuff in CSS.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
so it's kind of
this
cool.
On a larger scale of project, because you don't want to have the same class name on the. You don't want to repeat the class name, right? Because if you repeat, it will like mess up with your styling. So what you do is you use BAM. It's called block element modifier. It consists of block. The first one is block, and then the element and the modifier. So what is a good example is the button one. I mean, sorry, the create card one. Hold on. Sorry. Let's see this one. We have the block called create, and then we have some elements in it, right? We have we have a title here, and then we have a text here, and then we have card here. So we can put it on this class name. So this is the create, the block, and then we add two underscores, underscore, and this one is the element. So the element is the title, is the text, and then card group, card. You have some card image, card content. That is the element. So what is the last one, the modifier? The modifier is this one. So in this button, we don't have any element inside the button, so we don't need to add the underscore element. We can just jump straight to the modifier. So what it is, it gives some varieties on your element. For example, you want to have the same markup on here. You basically have the same style on the outline button and the usual button, right? The primary button. But you want to make a modifier where you make the background too white, and you can edit on this outline. Sorry, on this outline. So basically you modify your existing code or existing style, like you add some variants to it by using,
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's basically it. We'll see how we use that after I edit this one, after this, straight after this. Okay, let
All
me
right.
continue to add the modifier. Wait, let's first, yeah, I think I have not add the create card content. The p tag, you can add just margin bottom of 5 frame and some font size of 0.75 frame. I think that would be good. Yeah, sure, that's good. Next, we need to edit the BTN, right? The button. We already have uh, this kind of button, and what we need to do is just change this background color to white. Basically, that's it, and change the color, of course. So, for example, we add btn dash dash outline, and we change the background color to white, like that, and the color to the primary color, just like that. And we need to fix up the hover also. So for the style, it's basically done. We just need to configure for the hover and the active. So let's see, outline hover. We want the background color to still be white, but we want the border color and the color to be the color of the lighter one. For example, like this. Yeah, you can really see it. You cannot really see it because it's quite thin. Maybe you can change it to blue for a second. Just like that. So by using this modifier, we don't need to add a whole block of styling right here because we already do it on the button and we only need to change the color, right? So we just use modifier on this. This is called modifier.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Cool.
basically it. So let's finish up the active one. BTN outline. Basically, it's just the same as this, but with the color of this. Just like that. Okay, that's good. Okay, before we continue, is there any question? Okay, let's continue then. We already created the card. Next, this is like the card is done, right? The next one is just duplicate it. We can make it 6 times, I think. 3 and now we get 6 cards right here. But we don't have any spacing margin on this. So I think you guys can already guess what should we do. We use the adjacent and add margin top. We can add maybe 1 run. I think 2 runs good. All right, this is basically it. But we want to use grid on this, right? Because on the larger viewport, we wanted to make 3 by 2 columns. I can resize this like that. So the basic one is using grid template columns. We don't really need to set it up. And for this one is we use 3 columns and 2 rows. So what can we do is we add a grid on the card group create card grid and display grid. Okay, so on the mobile view, we don't need to do anything for this. So what we can do is we add some media query, just like that, and we select the card group again. And on the larger screen size, we want to add grid template columns. So we can
3.
we want to add one FR, one FR, one FR. So FR is a unit called fraction. Basically, it's just you ask them to divide it into 3 equal parts. And when you use it 3 times, that means you want to make it 3. For example, like this. And just like that, you have some grid in here. Now, the problem with grid is when you do this, if you have 2-dimensional, you can really use this because you still need margin top in here when you have stacking content, but you need margin left on here. Maybe you think that, oh, maybe I can add margin left in here about 2 rem, right? But this does not work well because the first item will not get any styling and it will mess up with everything. So we cannot use this selector to use grid. Don't do this. Don't do this if we are using grid. If we are using flex, that's all right because you are having 1-dimensional layout. But when you are using grid, there is a feature called gap. We add gap to rem right here. And it will basically make it perfect because gap is the CSS calculates if the wait, let me show with my out here. Gap is basically the gap between the element in the grid. And if you guys use, I use Firefox here, and Firefox has a really great developer tools, really great dev tools, and you can just click it, grid right here. Now, as you can see that it creates some gap here. This is the gap that is created by this one, the gap to run. If you delete it, it will like stack up. If you have 2 rems, it will create the gap between the elements, but not on the right side. Not on the right side, only
So
between
it
the
just work with
yeah.
just work with gap. Shouldn't be like grip gap.
Both works,
Or
but
that's another one.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
both works. But I like to call it gap. Yeah, but this is
That's good.
a smaller size to write, but it
Yeah.
basically works both way. You can use grid gap if you want it to be more semantically, or you can use gap only to do that. Yeah, that's basically it. And if you guys didn't know yet, this is just a fun fact, you know. For the flex one, they actually also have gap values. For example, let's just delete the margin left first, like this one. And we actually can add gap here, just like that. We have a gap right here, right? This actually work with flex, but the on the iPhone, it has not come up. The feature has not come up yet, so we cannot really use it for now. But later, maybe if this already come into green, we can maybe just make lives so much easier by using gap element. So this is called key property for Flexbox. Now it is only supported in Chrome, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge, but not on the iPhone. So basically, because the iPhone has so many users now, there's about 11%, we can really use it for now. But just a fun fact, maybe if the iPhone decided to add it into the features, we don't need to add the adjacent sibling anymore. We can just use gap. Yeah, I'm still waiting for it too, but let's just work with what we have right now. All right, this is already done with the gap. So what we can do is this one jumps from the 1 column to the 3 column, right? We can like adjust it to be 2 column first and then go to the 3 column. So let's throw in a random number here. We can adjust it later. Maybe 500. In 500, you want to have 2 columns, and then on maybe on 900, you want it to be 3 columns. So for example, the mobile view, you have 1 column, and then when you go to the 500, see this is too small, right? It's kind of packed up a little bit, so we can adjust it to maybe 600. Just like that, they go to the 2 columns, and when you reach 900 pixel, it will go to the 3 columns. So it will stack up perfectly, just like that. And that is for the third section. So do you have any question for this? Because this is quite new
Yeah.
for you guys using grid.
Real quick, can you show me your code again? We're in the card group
Part group.
where you put the grid. It's interesting that you put it there, even though you are not using it yet. You just put it there, and then in the media query, you just create the grid itself, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So basically, the grid without you adding some templates to it, it will work like this way: grid template columns, 1FR. So this is the default value. We only want 1 column on the mobile view, right? So why
Okay.
not put it first? Let's just edit grid here first. So the thing is, we want to utilize the gap element, right? We want it to have gap on the mobile view too, so we can just add the display grid right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
because
it.
we want to use the gap right here. So you don't need to explicitly call this. If you want to, you can write it. But if you don't write it at all, it won't mess up, because the default is the grid will go into 1 column.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, next up. Okay, shall we continue to the next section?
Oh, I have one question. When you create your projects, do you always use one file to hold all your CSS?
Actually, no. I use, wait, I think I will use my earphone first, because there is a construction.
I noticed in the Love for Heroes project, you had like a global CSS file.
Yeah. Oh, so wait.
My sound normally? Check. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So on a small project, you can basically use the same style, maybe right here. You use the same. You put all of the CSS right here, right? But when you're using Tailwind CSS, for example, you don't really need a lot of class right here, right? Because you're already using some utility class on it, so you don't really need to add a big class. So after this one, I will show you my project by using Fast. Because if you are using Fast or SCSS, you can split up the CSS codes. So you can add it to each section has, maybe you can put this section, like the create card section, into a new file. I will show it up later after this maybe. Okay, because it will be kind of laggy if I open another project.
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering, like, it seems so concise here.
Yeah.
I mean, like, of course, this is like a smaller project, but I'm like, thinking back to like my final project at Flatiron, and I have like 6 CSS files, and I use Tailwind. It's sort of crazy.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, this is not like the appropriate way to style up the CSS, because we put it into the same file, and it will be great if you split it up. I will show you the SCSS file later. So let's make the last one, the footer, I think. All right. We already have navigation bar. We already have header right here, right? We already have header, and we want to close it up by using footer. So it's basically just best practice, and it's good to use that. We add the same layout and the class footer. And then you have some image called footer avatar. I would call it images on the avatar. And then we have some name, footer underscore name. Say built by Clarence. And we have some social. For example, at Clarence right here. So let's see. Okay, that's good. So for the footer, we can select the footer and add the same padding. Okay. Okay, let's see. My computer kind of locks up. Okay, hold up a second. Okay, good. Okay, and we want to have like the background color, right? You can steer it from here, background color. And we can, okay, I put it on the wrong side again. We need to put it here. And this one. So we have background here. Now we want to add flags, but we don't want it to, we don't want the flags to apply here because it only has one element, right? We wanted to put it here on the layout, on the div layout. So what we can do is we select the footer and select the layout, and we can add display flags here. This will mess up because we have not set it up with flag direction column. Okay, nice. And for the image, we want to give some fixed value because we don't want it to be too large. We can select the footer avatar. For example, we can add some max width on it, maybe like 200 pixels. I think it's too large, 150 maybe. Yeah, that's good. And then we want it to be circle, right? We can add border radius here, maybe like 50%. Right, that's good. It becomes circle now. And we want it to center it vertically and horizontally. So the code is we use align item center and justify content center. And yeah, just like that, we can add some styling on the name. We bold and margin. We should add margin 1 rem 0 because we want margin on top of it too. Maybe 0.2 rem on the bottom. All right, that's good. So with this one, you don't need to configure anything else because it's already centered vertically on horizontally. And yeah, there you go. It's a full website. Maybe you want to make this larger a bit. Let's do that. Navbar link. Change up the font size on the larger screen size into maybe 1 rem. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's basically it. We have create button right here, and then we have some cards, and it's responsive. Cool. All right, that's basically it. It's done. So do you guys have any questions? Okay, we are already talking for 2 hours right now.
This is really cool.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Clarence. That was amazing.
Thank you so much.
It was epic. Thank you.
Thank
Sure,
you very
sure.
much.
Thank
Do
you.
you
I
guys
think,
have any question?
Ran, did you mention why we should create mobile first instead of?
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think you didn't mention it.
Right. So in this project, we are doing mobile first approach. Basically, you create it. You first create how you want it to look on the mobile, and then you change it to the on the mobile size. So what does it do is because on the mobile size, it's usually the flow is like the natural flow. For example, on this grid part, we don't really add anything to it. We only need to add display grid to it. For example, right here, because we only add grid and we don't really need to do anything about it because it's the natural way of HTML works. It just go to the below, and it is actually fully responsive. For example, if we add this one, we remove the CSS maybe, so it will become like a bad website. It is basically a responsive website. So for example, you see this one, if you largen it up, it will like stack up beautifully, right? So the HTML is basically already responsive. And what mess up the responsive is our styling. How we style it is usually how we mess up the responsiveness of the HTML. So what should be a good best practice is we do it on the mobile first because there are usually not much of mockup to do, and we change it to the mobile. Because for example, if you created grid, for example, this one, you put the grid template column right here, right? For example, you create the grid template column right here first, and then you add some media queries to make it into one column. So why not do the default first, where it will go to the one column, and then we just make it to the larger column on the larger viewport, just like that. That's why I think by using mobile first development is the best one to do. So try to think how do you want it to look with the website, because on this one, I actually provided you guys with the desktop and the mobile view, right? But usually the case is the UI designer usually do not give you the mobile design. So you need to like think up how do you want it to look on the design, and maybe just think up to stack it up vertically, because this is basically just vertically stacked up. That's why mobile first is better.
Can you talk about Figma for a sec? Like, how did you like when I use Figma, it's like not great. Like,
Yeah, it's
can you talk about like How are you doing it?
I think it should be another session, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you can. I will share you guys the Figma, and I already sent you up the link, right? And maybe you can try to duplicate mine and try to copy it if you guys want to do it. I have sent the Figma file on it. Yeah, because Figma is based on how often you use it, so you are comfortable with it. So basically, just try to duplicate one and make another project. Try to duplicate this one and create another one, just like that. So I want to show you guys my project on using CSS. Using this one. I've created this in my, I've created this. Wait, let's see. Let me close this up. I will upload this to Git. So if you want to check it up,
What is the
so this
extension?
is, I use GitHub CLI to make the repository, and for this, like the shortcut, I use ZSH, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me
just
check.
look it up. So I think it will be accessible in this GitHub. You can check it out, maybe clone it. So let me close up because it's kind of lagging out. Yeah, sure. Let me see. So this one is using CSS, where you can put a bunch of class right here. So let's see the website. Yeah, I've created this. This one is quite big actually. There are a lot of, oops. There are a lot of layout right here. There are a bunch of page also, and if you create it into one singular page, singular CSS, it will become really big, and basically it will become confusing like that. So what I do is I use SCSS. With SCSS, you can just split up your code. For example, like this. You can add police. This is the hero page. Like you can add the hero on this one, so it didn't get mixed up. And then you have some other feature like nesting in here, and then you have some mix-ins. And I think it's good for you guys to check it out later. It is a great way to write CSS for me because I don't really use the vanilla CSS anymore. I use this something called SCSS. Maybe if you guys still learning CSS, you can just hold up a bit and learn the basic of it, and then you can jump to the stats.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
talked
that's
about
basically
at Flatiron, but I kind of agree that I'd like to get better at vanilla CSS.
Yeah.
But Aaron didn't. Sorry, go ahead, Ren.
Sorry, what was the question? I think I got lost on it.
You are mute, Alisa.
Oh, I didn't have a question.
Oh yeah.
I more of a comment.
I also have comment that Aaron didn't really teach us the CSS very well, right?
Oh. Yeah. In the bootcamp, you basically just gloss over it because, yeah, CSS is a really big part for me because there are a lot of properties, like I said before, and it's good to explore it a little bit because you can create a lot of it with CSS. Yeah.
Because if you didn't understand about the basics, you will mess up, right?
Yeah. That's why that's why on the hackathon I kind of suggest you guys to learn Tailwind first. I'm sorry, to learn CSS first before jumping into Tailwind, because with Tailwind it is so much easier, but you need to know the basics so you can utilize it onto the full marks, I think. Yeah, that's it. What's up, Alisa? You want to say something?
Oh yeah, I had a question. So like, if we went back into the example project that you used to teach today,
Yeah.
like let's say if you wanted to add like a logo on the left side of the nav bar, but you wanted it to be on the right side of the words. Like let's say you wanted to add like a Twitter and a GitHub. Like two little logo buttons, and you wanted them to look centered. Like I guess to the right of like the welcome. I think it was like welcome. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, let's see.
I'm like wondering how. So like you have the justify between, which is spacing out the two main divs.
Yeah.
So would you put the icons inside of the div on the left? I'm not sure what your code looks like.
So what you can do is, you want to put it right here, right? On the left side, right?
Yeah.
You can do is just make a little div on it, and you can add it right here. You can add Twitter here. Oops. You can add Twitter here and then Facebook here, like that. So it will not mess up with the justify between, because you want it to split up left and right. So the left side is getting constrained into a div, and this one into nav. And if you want it to be side by side, you just add display flags on here. So it is side by side, and put line item center. So it is vertically centered, just like that. Basically,
that would align those three items on the left.
Yeah. You put it on the div, so it will not mess up with the layout right here with the nav bar on where you put justify space between. Yeah, that's basically.
I think like that's cool. Like I would have thought to put the whole thing as the nav, but I think that because you have the nav separate from the A tag, it allows for you to be more specific about how you want it to, what you want it to do. I mean, I guess it's kind of preference, but it also works.
Yeah. I mean, I suggest you to do right this. For example, we have this, right? But it's stacked up vertically, right? So we can just go to this and add display flags on it.
Right.
Just like that, and add line item center, so it will center it vertically, just like that, and add some margin. We can use gap right here for testing.
Oh, the gap.
Just like that. Yeah, but I wouldn't suggest you to use this with flex, because this is flex, right? Maybe you can add like the edges, and like I said before, add margin here, just like that.
Yeah, it's the gap is like a ton, right? Like
Yeah, you can do like one.
Yeah, like that.
Just
That's
like
that's what I was mad.
yeah, you put it on the div and you put display flags on it, so it will stack up horizontally. And yeah, that's basically it. So what affecting the justify space between here is still two elements, which is the div that contains that one and the nav. So it will still split up like that. Because if you put it right here, it will kind of mess up, just like that. It will go to the center.
Wait,
Yeah.
can you show me what you did? Like that.
I put it on this one. So there are three elements inside the navbar now. Basically, they just space it up. And when you space it up, yeah, you put it on the center, right? Because you have already left one and the right one, and the rest you put it on the center.
Cool.
Yeah, that's
Thank
it.
you.
Sure. I think that's it.
Yay.
Let me know if you guys have some problem in, maybe if you want to copy it later. Let me know if you want to build it after this. Let me know if you have some questions. I think I can be contacted with, what should you contact me at? I think you can contact me with email. It's all right.
Maybe you can put your link in.
Yeah, I also have LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn, I think. Yeah, this is my LinkedIn. Yeah, sure. Let's connect also. I also have some feedback. If you maybe guys can fill it out. It's just a Google form. Yeah, it's a Google form to give me some feedback on how I teach. Maybe try to be as descriptive as possible, because that will help me how I teach. And yeah, just help me out with filling this one. Okay, I think
Sure.
that's it. Yeah, sure.
We'll stop recording.